All right, greetings. Today we're going to read a literary work by Ernest Hemingway that's titled Hills Like White Elephants. But before we start reading, I'd like to preface our reading with a little discussion. So there are two things I feel like you need to know about before we read the story. One of them is the artistic movement called minimalism. So as the name implies, a minimalist work is minimal in some form. For example, a lot of minimalist works are small or short, like this story. However, they don't have to be. They could be long or large. But the thing that I really want us to focus on is the refined nature of minimalist works. For example, there's a song called Clapping Music by a composer named Steve Reich, and the whole song is just clapping. So all of the musicality of the song is accomplished through clapping alone, and things like harmony and melody are pretty much absent. Hills Like White Elephants is refined in a similar way. The entire story is told through dialogue and literal descriptions of the setting. The narrator of the story, or the author, never gives us any indication what the characters are thinking or feeling or how they speak their words. We're left to interpret all of those things on our own. This story shows much more than it tells, and since it's short, every detail should be viewed as important. We want to try to piece together the clues of the story to get an idea of what's going on. We're going to read this story like detectives that are trying to solve a case. And another thing you need to know about is an expression called white elephants or a white elephant. So in Thailand, political rivals would gift each other albino elephants, and these elephants didn't really serve any purpose. They were more of a burden than anything else. Since their skin was white, they couldn't be used outdoors like normal elephants to do work like horses or oxen are used in the United States. So they had to be kept in shaded environments. They were very big, very expensive to feed, very expensive to keep. They were just a complete and total useless thing and a burden to the owner, right? They wasted a lot of resources. So a white elephant is something that is useless, serves no purpose, is burdensome, and just a complete waste of resources and not easily gotten rid of. You can't just throw away an elephant, right? You can't just let it loose. They're huge animals that eat a lot and can damage things. They're potentially dangerous. So a white elephant refers to a burdensome thing that is not easily gotten rid of and that doesn't necessarily serve any purpose. All right. So we're going to read through this story and we're going to unpack it one page at a time. It's about 6 pages long. And I'm going to be going back and forth in the story and rereading sections. So we're going to cover things a couple of times, one page at a time. All right. Hills Like White Elephants by Ernest Hemingway. The hills across the valley of the Ebro were long and white. On this side, there was no shade and no trees, and the station was between two lines of rails in the sun. Close against the side of the station, there was the warm shadow of the building and a curtain made of strings of bamboo beads, hung across the open door into the bar to keep out flies. The American and the girl with him sat at a table in the shade, outside the building. It was very hot, and the express from Barcelona would come in 40 minutes. It stopped at this junction for 2 minutes and went on to Madrid. What should we drink? The girl asked. She had taken off her hat and put it on the table. It's pretty hot, the man said. Let's drink beer. Dos cervezas, the man said into the curtain. Big ones? A woman asked from the doorway. Yes, two big ones. The woman brought 2 glasses of beer and 2 felt pads. She put the felt pads and beer glasses on the table and looked at the man and the girl. The girl was looking off at the line of hills. They were white in the sun, and the country was brown and dry. They look like white elephants, she said. I've never seen one, The man drank his beer. No, you wouldn't have. Well, I might have, the man said. Just because you say I wouldn't have doesn't prove anything. The girl looked at the bead curtain. They've painted something on it, she said. What does it say? Anis del Toro. It's a drink. All right, so let's unpack this. So we've got a description of our setting, right? We're in the valley of the Ebro. Valleys typically have rivers at their bottom, so the Ebro might be a river or the region around one. And Barcelona and Madrid got mentioned. Those are both cities that are in Spain, so I'm thinking that this story is set in Spain. And the man ordered drinks in Spanish. He said dos cervezas. So this is definitely set in Spain. And we have our two characters, or our two main characters. One is an American man, and the other is the girl that's with him. And they've decided to drink some beer. And the first time white elephants get mentioned, the man immediately falls into an argument with the woman or the girl. Just because you say I wouldn't have doesn't prove anything. He's clearly upset and maybe provoked by her comment. And let's see what else do we have going on here. It's hot and the land is brown and dry. So wherever they are, despite there being a river, it must be an arid location because the land is brown and dry. Let's get on to the second page. Could we try it? The man called listen through the curtain. The woman came out from the bar. 4 reales. I believe reales are the denomination of Spanish currency. So that must be the waitress. We want two Anis del Toro. With water? Do you want it with water? I don't know, the girl said. Is it good with water? That's all right. You want them with water? Asked the woman. Yes, with water. It tastes like licorice, the girl said, and put the glass down. That's the way with everything. Yes, said the girl, everything tastes of licorice, especially all the things you've waited so long for, like absinthe. Oh, cut it out. You started it, the girl said. I was being amused. I was having a fine time. Well, let's try and have a fine time. All right, I was trying. I said the mountains looked like white elephants. Wasn't that bright? That was bright. I wanted to try this new drink. That's all we do, isn't it? Look at things and try new drinks? I guess so. The girl looked across at the hills. So they've ordered beers, they've ordered a second drink, and we've got, let's see, we've got the waitress talking to the man and the man explaining everything to the woman. For some reason, she doesn't seem to be able to understand the waitress or know what's going on. That's peculiar. That stands out to me. And then the girl upset the man again. She made a comment about him waiting so long to drink things like absinthe. I know that absinthe is a very strong alcoholic beverage. People often get alcohol poisoning from it, and it's also believed to cause hallucinations. So it's sort of thought of as a drug. You know, what kind of man waits a long time to go to Spain just to drink things like absinthe and then get sensitive about it when it's mentioned? Maybe he's embarrassed about this. So let's see. And the girl seems to be trying, well, it seemed like she was trying to avoid the argument earlier on, but now she seems to be participating in it. When they first got into an argument, she changed the subject. Let's see. And here she is looking across at the hills again. They're lovely hills, she said. They don't really look like white elephants. I just meant the coloring of their skin through the trees. Should we have another drink? Well, you've ordered a beer and you've ordered Anis del Toro, and now they want another drink. All right. The warm wind blew the bead curtain against the table. The beer is nice and cool, the man said. It's lovely, the girl said. It's really an awful simple operation, Jig, the man said. It's not really an operation at all. The girl looked at the ground the table legs rested on. I know you wouldn't mind it, Jig. It's really not anything. It's just to let the air in. The girl did not say anything. I'll go with you and I'll stay with you all the time. They just let the air in, and then it's perfectly natural. Then what will we do afterward? We'll be fine afterward, just like we were before. What makes you think so? That's the only thing that bothers us. It's the only thing that's made us unhappy. The girl looked at the bead curtain, put her hand out, and took hold of two of the strings of beads. And you think then we'll be happy? And you think then we'll be all right and be happy? I know we will. You don't have to be afraid. I've known lots of people that have done it. So have I, said the girl, and afterward they were all so happy. Well, the man said, if you don't want to, you don't have to. I wouldn't have you do it if you didn't want to, but I know it's perfectly simple. And you really want to? All right, so now we're starting to get somewhere. We got a little bit of conflict developing. So the girl, she kind of reneges on her comment about the trees looking, or the hills looking like white elephants through the trees. They're trying to talk about the beer or to have a nice time, and the man immediately changes the conversation to something about an operation. So what kind of operation is this? And he says it's not really an operation at all. So that's conflicting information. That's weird. Is he talking about a medical procedure, right? Like there are medical operations, or is he talking about a military exercise? They have military operations. I don't think this is a military thing. It sounds more like a medical thing. And the girl's clearly uncomfortable, right? As soon as he mentions it, she doesn't say anything. And the man says he's going to stay with her the whole time. So a lot of times when people go to the hospital, if they're in a couple, they go together and they support each other. And he says they just let the air in and it's all perfectly natural. What kind of operation lets air in? And since operations are done to your body, why would you want to let air inside of your body? That's strange. But after they let the air in, something natural happens. Or maybe doesn't happen. I guess we'll see. And then they say, well, we'll be fine just like we were before. So clearly whatever is going on has started to cause some conflict or division between the two of them, and it has to do with the woman. And I guess it has to do with her body because an operation is going to be the thing that fixes it. Let's see. And then the girl takes hold of two strings of beads. So why does she grab two beads? What do they represent? Could that be the man and the woman? Could it be something else? But she holds two of them, and then she says, "And you think then we'll be all right? We'll be happy." So clearly something's wrong. She's concerned about it too. And then the man says that he knows a lot of people that have done it. So whatever this is, it must be a fairly common or easy thing to do, maybe. I don't know, or something routine. People do it often. I'm not really sure what kind of routine thing that's a medical operation that they could be doing often, but I guess we'll figure that out. And then it seems like the woman doesn't want to. The man says, if you don't want to, you don't have to. I wouldn't have you do it if you didn't want to, but I know it's perfectly simple. Well, do you want her to do it or not? Because you seem to be giving conflicting information here. I think it's the best thing to do, but I don't want you to do it if you don't really want to. And if I do it, you'll be happy and things will be like they were and you'll love me. Does he not love her? Like, what's going on between these two? She's questioning his love for her. I love you now. You know I love you. I know. But if I do it, then it will be nice again. If I say things are like white elephants, you'll like it. So things aren't nice. I mean, they've argued a little bit since we first met them. I love it. I love it now, but I just can't think about it. You know how I get when I worry. If I do it, you won't ever worry. I won't worry about that because it's perfectly simple. Then I'll do it because I don't care about me. What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't care about me. Well, I care about you. Oh, yes, but I don't care about me, and I'll do it, and then everything will be fine. I don't want you to do it if you feel that way. The girl stood up and walked to the end of the station. Across on the other side, the fields of grain and the trees along the banks of the Ebro. Let's see, let me reread that. Read that. The girl stood up and walked to the end of the station. Across on the other side were fields of grain and trees along the banks of the Ebro. Far away, beyond the river, were mountains. The shadow of a cloud moved across the field of grain, and she saw the river through the trees. And we could have all this, she said, and we could have everything, and every day we make it all more impossible. What did you say? I said we could have everything. We can have everything. No, we can't. We can have the whole world. No, we can't. So there's some disagreement between them, some more conflict. Let's go back through this. So he thinks the best thing to do is this operation, but he doesn't want her to do it if she doesn't want to. But he thinks it's for the best, and she questions his love or his feelings for her. And he tries to make her feel more secure. Let's see. And then she mentions white elephants again. It'll be nice again. And if I say things like white elephants, you'll like it. So clearly, this man seems to be agitated with her or upset with her. Right? She wants to change things and have things go back to the way they were. Something has changed, and it has to do with her body. And here we go again. The man is talking about this operation and how perfectly simple it is. And the girl doesn't seem to care about herself. She'll do it for him because she doesn't care about herself. So whatever this is, this could be a bad thing for her, but the man wants her to do it or doesn't want her to do it. He keeps giving us conflicting information. Let's see. And then she goes across the station and she looks out towards the river and she sees fields of grain. So on one side of the station, everything's brown and dry, and on the other side of the station, everything's fertile where there's a river. And she's sort of stuck between these two scenes. Is that symbolic of something, right? Like is that symbolic of a choice that she has to make because the man is asking her to have an operation and she doesn't necessarily want to. She questions it, and she looks out in one area and sees these fertile fields of grain, and looks and sees this arid, brown, dry landscape on the other. She held those two strings of beads before, so we've got kind of a dichotomy going. She's sort of split between two things. She's literally in the center of arid land and in fertile land. What could this have to do with her or the story? And then she says, we could have all this, she said. We could have everything, and every day we make it more impossible. And the man says, what did you say? And she says, I said we could have everything. So she changed what she said. She's being deceptive here, right? Clearly, they're doing something that's making some future possibility impossible. And the man says they could have the whole world, and she says, no, we can't. So what is she worried about losing? Because she doesn't think they could have everything. We can go everywhere. No, we can't. It isn't ours anymore. It's ours. No, it isn't. And once they take it away, you never get it back. But they haven't taken it away. Well, wait and see. Clearly, she's worried about losing something. Come on back in the shade, he said. You mustn't feel that way. I don't feel any way, the girl said. I just know things. Well, I don't want you to do anything that you don't want to do, nor that isn't good for me, she said. I know. Nor that isn't good for me, she said. I know. Could we have another beer? All right, so she wants another drink. Maybe they finished the two they've already had. All right, but you've got to realize. I realize, the girl said. Can't we stop talking? They sat down at the table, and the girl looked across at the hills on the dry side of the valley, and the man looked at her on the table. You've got to realize, he said, that I don't want you to do it if you don't want to. I'm perfectly willing to go through with it if that means anything to you. So, whatever's going on is a serious thing, and the man is saying he's willing to go through with it. But before, he was being very pushy and trying to get her to have an operation to prevent something from happening, right? But now he's saying he's willing to go through with it, but he's also claiming that this operation that prevents this thing is perfectly simple and an easy thing to do, and lots of people do it. What is this guy trying to avoid? Let's continue reading on. Doesn't it mean anything to you? We could get along. Of course it does, but I don't want anybody but you. I don't want anyone else, and I know it's perfectly simple. He doesn't want anyone else? Like, who else would be involved? Like, is there another person that's going to be involved in their relationship or their life? Right? They seem to be a couple. It's just two of them. Who's this other person that could be coming along? So let's see. Of course it does, but I don't want anybody but you. I don't want anyone else, and I know it's perfectly simple. Yes, you know it's perfectly simple. It's all right for you to say that, but I do know it. Would you do something for me now? I'd do anything for you. Would you please, 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 please stop talking? He did not say anything, but looked at the bags against the wall of the station. There were labels on them from all the hotels where they had spent nights. Okay, so these two are travelers. They're clearly on vacation. The man is American, and the woman may be from somewhere else. Have they met each other on these travels? Did they meet each other before they went on these travels? And then something has happened between the two of them that's going to bring in another person, and an operation is going to fix that. Let's see. And whatever this is, it's going to stop them from being able to travel or continue with their current lifestyle. It's going to change things. And the girl thinks that they could get along. She thinks that they could do it, but the man clearly doesn't want to do it. All right. And she wants to have another beer. All right, let's see. And then we know that they're at a train station waiting for a train to come, and the train's supposed to come in 40 minutes. So this is like the request for a third drink in a half hour, maybe. That's peculiar. All right, let's get back to it. So he says, But I don't want you to, he said. I don't care anything about it. Clearly you care. You keep pushing. I'll scream, the girl said. She's very upset with him. The woman came out through the curtains with 2 glasses of beer and put them down on the damp felt pads. The train comes in 5 minutes, she said. So this is definitely their third drink at least in a span of 35 minutes. What did you say? Asked the girl. Or what did she say? Asked the girl. The train is coming in 5 minutes. So for some reason, the girl doesn't understand the waitress. The girl smiled brightly at the woman to thank her, and for some reason, she's not speaking to her. I'd better take the bags over to the other side of the station, the man said. She smiled at him. All right, then, come back and we'll finish the beer. He picked up the 2 heavy bags and carried them around the station to the other tracks. He looked up the tracks, but he could not see the train. Coming back, he walked through the bar room where people waiting for the train were drinking. He drank an anise at the bar and looked at the people. They were all waiting reasonably for the train. He went out through the bead curtain. She was sitting at the table and smiled at him. Do you feel better? He asked. I feel fine, she said. There's nothing wrong. I feel fine. All right, so this guy just had his fourth drink in half an hour. That's a lot. He's about to finish the beer with the woman. So, in a short span of less than an hour, they've had a serious argument that divides the two of them, and it involves bringing another person into their lives. So I'm thinking this woman is pregnant, and this man wants her to have an abortion. That's a pretty serious thing. And the woman seems to think that they could get along. They could have this child, and they could make it work. And this man doesn't want to have this child. And I'm not exactly sure he means what he says. Like he says there's an operation that's not an operation. He says that he's willing to go through with it, but he knows it's perfectly simple. I don't think he's being honest with the woman, and I think he's trying to force her into things. And there seems to be maybe an imbalance in their relationship. The woman can't seem to do anything without the man's help, right? She's dependent on him to communicate with the waitress. She's dependent on him to get access to her drinks. So those are two peculiar things. Now, let me go through my notes. So the author is clearly showing us something about power dynamics and relationships between people, and there may be some commentary in here about reproductive rights. Right? This story was published in 1927. It's almost 100 years old, and it's about abortion. So, what was the author saying about abortion that may or may not have been controversial then, that still may or may not be controversial today? This is still a hotly debated topic, right? Roe v. Wade was overturned a few years ago. States are making their own laws about abortion. Some are for it, some are against it. So this story slots in nicely with that public dialogue. And their relationship doesn't seem to be a good one. They seem to be a couple of dysfunctional heavy drinkers, right? Why is the author writing a story about two people who are heavy drinkers in a dysfunctional relationship? Now, I know that Ernest Hemingway was an alcoholic, right? That he enjoyed this substance, and he's got two characters that are clearly heavy drinkers, and one may even be a drug user. The man came to Spain to drink things like absinthe, right? He's waited so long for this trip, and now this pregnancy could be ruining that and stopping them from having the world and going places and traveling and seeing things. The man doesn't, I guess he doesn't want to lose his freedom. He doesn't want to be tied to this woman or a child. And we also don't get any kind of resolution to this conflict, right? We've got these two people who are in this conflict, and the story just ends with the woman saying she's fine, right? There's nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. So has she made a decision? What's going to happen in the future? They're on a train that's coming from Barcelona and going to Madrid, right? Are they going to Madrid to go to a doctor to see about getting an abortion or to continue their travels? We know they're traveling. They've been staying in hotels. And another thing we should think about is, why did the author limit the storytelling? Right? We just get these literal descriptions of the scenes. The woman is looking at the river and the fields of grain, or she's looking at the arid, dry, brown landscape. She's holding 2 beads, and we don't get any indication of how their words are being spoken. Like, for example, there's one part in the story where the woman says, I guess that well, she seems to be being sarcastic. In fact, let me scroll back to it. We'll look at those exact words. Let's see. And oh, here we go. And the man says, I know we will. We'll be fine. You don't have to be afraid. I've known lots of people that have done it. So have I, said the girl. And afterward, they were all so happy. So she's clearly unhappy. They're both unhappy about this pregnancy. She's unhappy about losing the baby. And she's speaking with sarcasm or she's being sardonic in this situation, right? She's clearly cynical. And the author gives us no indication of what she's thinking or feeling. We're left to interpret that on our own. Like, so why did the author choose to tell a story like this? We know Ernest Hemingway had his iceberg theory where an iceberg will be floating in the water and just a little portion of it, 10%, will be sticking up and the rest of it is below the surface. So there's all this subtext in the story that you have to interpret and put together for yourself. Why did the author choose to do this? Why make this minimalist work that only tells the story in roughly two ways? That's peculiar. And then I guess one last thing, or now we'll stop here. So thank you for letting me read the story with you, and I hope you enjoyed our Think Aloud.